Welcome everyone, so Heroscape here today with update number 16. We have a fun and exciting update again today. Another unique hero. One that is going to make map making very interesting. So before we get into the picture, just want to read the announcement. The sea does not like to be restrained. The oceans and rivers of Valhalla were as deadly as any battlefield, and that was before the Dryon Lifeborn Order arrived on the planet. With Dryon Magi as diverse as the various life forms of their home planet of Arboreus, it is small wonder that one such as the Master of Tides would arrive to unleash the cataclysmic destruction of Valhalla's oceans upon her enemies. Capable of drawing upon the elemental powers of water from rivers deep beneath the earth, the Master of Tides magic is capable of forming localized tsunamis and violent waterspouts to wreak havoc. The Master of Tides can become near impossible to harm when using local water sources to mask her form from would-be attackers, making her all the more frustrating to opposing commanders. All right, let's talk about that in just a second. Let's see the concept art. And there we have it. Oh my word. That is... wow. That is really, really good. I love that. I mean, that is so cool. And you think... okay, so these are actually, I think these are the early stage concept art. Yeah, so the Master of Tides, unique hero. Yeah, these are, right? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think so. These are the early concept art for it, right? I mean, that's, I don't know. It's so different. Like it's actually not even remotely close to what the final ends up looking like. Huh. Like this, if that's an early concept art for Master of Tides, that looks more like a grunt to me than a Master of Tides, right? You know, I'm gonna venture a guess here. I'm gonna guess that on the right there, that is not the early concept art for Master of Tides. Even though you would think it is so drastically different from what ended up being here. I'm going to say that's something else. It could be another hero, could just be another, could be another unique squad or even a common squad. Because the truth is this is concept art, right? So they probably have these on huge storyboards with tons of different papers, and then they're just capturing sections, right, of the different concept art and then putting them up and posting them for us here. And so in those sections, they just add the Heroscape logo to the bottom right with the title. So the main focus is the Master of Tides, but it's possible that on the side, some of that concept art is to other things, right? I'm going to venture a guess there because that is so drastically different than the final product. I want to say that's something else entirely. Regardless, I think this is also potential for Sahuagin synergy. I'm not going to confirm or deny that, but she looks so much like an opportunity to add some Sahuagin synergy in there, because the Sahuagin Raider is so dead in the world of Heroscape in terms of playability that it's just kind of laughable. So that, I mean, no guarantees, but that would be awesome if there was some sort of synergy there. Anyway, let's get back to the design. So intricate. The scaling, very, octopusy, very octopus-like. Wow, so cool. Just look at that detail. That's going to be such a fun mini. So here's an idea. Do you really think it's going to be single-based or double-based? I mean, obviously we don't know the size on this, so they very well could be a normal, single-based miniature. I mean, the base itself is somewhat circular around, probably. I can't imagine this being double-based. I can't imagine it being that much bigger. It's probably tall, but I think they'll probably fit it on a large single, right? I would venture to guess. Anyway, super cool. So let's go back to the design. We know it's a Dryon Magi. Okay, so we know that there's going to be some sort of synergy with a familiar potentially, right? So we already know that. We know it's water based, obviously. What's so interesting, it says capable of drawing upon the elemental powers of water from deep beneath the earth. Now, a couple things there when I read that. I thought it sounds like it's possible that she has the ability to use her water abilities, whatever they may be, even if she's not on water, right? Because water in map making can be such a restrictive terrain piece to use because it stops all movement. And there's a lot of it in the Rise of the Valkyrie set, but it's somewhat limited in the other sets. And so when it comes to map building, a lot of map makers tend to shy away from water because it can tend to be very choky and clog up the map a lot. So we know, generally speaking, that unless they change the rules about the way that water works, if they could. It's possible they could make water freer movement. So unless they change the way that water works, I think this is providing a lore-based reason reason for her to be able to use her abilities outside of water, drawing upon the elemental powers deep beneath the earth, right? So that insinuates that the water at the surface doesn't necessarily necessitate her being on water to use her powers, right? What's interesting, though, is then if you go back or continue to go down, it says capable of forming localized tsunamis and violent water spouts to wreak havoc. So to me, I could potentially see, her maybe placing water tiles, to create a certain effect. Or simply this is just the power itself is going to be, it affects multiple figures in a row, or it affects figures on water or adjacent to water spaces. I could see something super cool with that. Like, that actually would be super, super cool. If it's talking about water spouts that wreak havoc, maybe she has the ability to attack all figures adjacent or on water tiles. On a map, on the battlefield, like literally anybody. Or maybe it's an aura, so it's like any figures within 8 spaces or any figures within sight of a water tile or something to that effect. Because that could end up being really, really cool, right? Because then she doesn't have to move outside the start zone as much. She basically just has to sit back and twiddle her thumbs and do water spouts wherever, assuming there's water on the map. Okay, and then at the bottom here, impossible to harm when local water sources to mask her form from would-be attackers. I think that's pretty straightforward. I don't think we need to read into that too much. I mean, this is such an easy way to do this in Heroscape. I mean, we already have Hide in Darkness from, the Drow, right, and Derek Ambershard. We already have Peloth, right, who his ability is he literally can't be attacked, right, by non-adjacent attacks while he's on a shadow space. So we've seen this done before. I think we're going to see the very same ability, maybe hide in water or, water concealment or something like that, where it's literally worded the same as those powers. That way, again, it's calling back to original Heroscape and abilities and units we're used to. So, yeah. Dang. That is so crazy. Their artists are amazing. So I'm gonna venture a guess here. I'm I'm gonna venture a guess that this unit has the ability to target other units next to or on water spaces, whether that's within an aura, so anyone within 8 spaces or anyone within 10, or literally everyone on the battlefield. I think that's the ability, because it's a new type of mechanic, right? Where an attack is based off of a terrain piece, right? And it wouldn't require line of sight, I don't think, right? You mean if it mentioned water spouts, right? Violent havoc inducing water spouts or tsunamis. Imagine a single water hex all over the map, and she's boiling this water up out of the depth of Valhalla's earth, right? And it's just spouting out and hot steam and whatever it is, targeting units nearby. And I think that's going to really shift and change the way people play on certain maps. And I think that's going to shift some map making as well, in that I think it could motivate a little bit more use of water. And it would also change a lot about how you play on a water map, with her being a potential draft unit, right? And so I love that. I love that, water, which is such a underutilized terrain piece, because it, is just tough to deal with sometimes, is going to be a lot more of a central focus. And again, I could be wrong, right? It might be a lot more simple. Maybe she just gets a additional ranged attack ability, or maybe it's multiple attacks when she's on a water tile, something we've seen before. But based off of what we've seen in terms of concept art and what they've kind of given us as nuggets, is how these abilities are going to be kind of new, but not so far out we can't figure them out. I think we're going to see something here a little bit more unique. So I'm going to venture to guess we're going to see something really fun, really exciting, and it's going to be where water tiles themselves. Maybe you're targeting the units in a way, or rather, figures adjacent to water tiles are affected. So I don't know. Throw out your ideas, throw out your thoughts. There's a lot to think about on that one. I really hope there's some synergy with the Sahuagin Raider. I doubt that there will be, because Sahuagin Raiders just suck anyway. But it would be really cool to have some synergy there, and maybe build out that faction a little bit, if at all possible. This could be an opportunity for that. So we'll see if they do any cross synergy there. I'm not sure, but anyway, that's it for now. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys next time.